Just waiting for a few seconds to go live on all the platforms. All right, we are live in LinkedIn. Hi, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. Okay. The last 3 days, as you know, internet was not there. Complete setback. Technology out. And just because we have so much of dependency on internet for every single thing that we do, there are two very extreme modes that happen. One, when you get into that whole panic mode, constantly calling the customer care, constantly trying to get the entire problem resolved, trying to ensure that the internet gets fast. You start getting into the mobile internet and somehow try to manage the workflow and everything, but it gets disrupted eventually. This time, instead of getting into the zone of panic, something inside me told, okay, how can we become productive? How can we make sure that the next couple of hours are the most productive hours of our life? Now, initially, I was feeling I should take some nice rest, which I did. I woke up really, really late. Really late, as in usually 8:30 is the live, and I'll end up waking up at 9:30. It was pretty chilled out and easy. Until what do you do for the rest of the day? So that's when I sat down and figured out, okay, let's get into some reading. Now, while the reading continues, now back in my internship days, I used to read 3 books a week, two actual books, physical books, or the PDF version of it, Kindle version of it, or I would listen to audiobooks. So while I was working out in the gym, so that would continue. Now, while this process was going on, imagine 3 books a week. So if internship time was pretty much the most productive time of my life, 6 months. So 6 months, if you approximately count around 7 weeks every 2 months. So that's a total of 21 weeks. And in 21 weeks, I have read 3 books a week. So that's 63 books. Now, 63 books, there are certain things that automatically got ingrained deep inside of me, which I felt deep down was like magic. Now, in today's session, I felt why not really put all of those things together and create a system, share the system with you, which has helped me grow exponentially ever since I started reading the books. That's what we are going to uncover in today's live session, one step at a time. Now, before I get into the whole process of book reading and all, let me guide you through this very interesting discussion I had with a very, very dear brother. His name is Suman Meka. He's presently at this point of time recording this live. He is the convener of Sai Gitanjali in Bangalore. Back then, during my school days, he was the district youth coordinator of South Bangalore. So he taught me a very, very interesting framework. He said, Surya, every single time you read, you see, everyone reads a book. People read books, people read newspapers, everyone reads a book. But I would want you to follow this 3R system. I asked him, okay, brother, what is this 3R? And he said, see, the first R is when you read. So you're actually reading the words. Now, while you read the words, either you're reading with your mouth open or you're reading through the voice of your mind. Either way, it's getting registered inside. Whatever is outside is getting internalized. The second R is called as reflect. So if you're reading a certain experience or a certain anecdote or a story, a framework, whatever it is that you're reading, try to reflect, how is it relevant for me? What can I learn from this? How can I become a better version of myself through this? Don't just read and close and forget about it. Reflect on the conversation that goes on inside after reading the book, whatever it is. The third R is regular implementation. So I personally decided that I don't want to read anything related to fiction. Instead of reading a book, I prefer watching a movie. So reading, I find it boring. I don't find it interesting at all. It's it time consuming, and it feels like those couple of minutes that I'm spending, it takes about hours, decades. That's for me because I prefer doing things that are more interesting, that are more kinesthetic. Now, that was about the 3R principle. Now, there are different types of learners. Okay. I'm not just talking about reading, I'm talking about learning. Learning, usually, we have our five senses, right? The sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch. Okay. Now, the same way, there are these five different forms of learners also. Visual learners, those who see a lot of pictures and stuff and they prefer learning. That's why people like me, I love reading comic books more than actual textbook texts. I like colors. I like a lot of flashy stuff. I like things to be a little spreaded out and easy, or I prefer watching videos and learning. That's my preferred mode of communication, because I preferred mode of learning, because I'm very visual. Second is auditory. So Yogeshwari, recently we've come to realize she is an auditory reader or learner. So when she's reading a book, while reading the book, she parallelly tells me to download or somehow get her access to the audio version of it, podcast format, or however it is, where she can listen to the chapters while she is reading the book and making the notes. Now that's Yogeshwari. But then, uh, so that's sound. Now, how is taste and smell a part of learning? Well, the more immersive experiences it becomes, the easier it gets. So if it's a, let's just say, a cookbook, while you are reading the book, you are doing it and you're smelling the flavors and you're tasting the food. That's when it becomes easy for you to read. And then touch is when you're actually doing something while you are learning, and that's when all those Montessori schools, they'll make you dance and do all these different movements so that you will be able to learn and immerse. Even in the when you go to these seminars, they tell you to raise your hand, they tell you to write notes, they tell you to answer back, shout out your answers. That's the element of physicality involved. That's the kinesthetic form of learning. Now, kinesthetics goes into, usually if you broadly classify it, comes down to visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Kinesthetic is when the entire thing is involved. Now, I am personally a kinesthetic learner. So when you give me an option between watching Harry Potter movies end to end or reading the entire Harry Potter series, I'm definitely going to choose the former. And pretty much growing up, that's what has been the situation. The most major people that I know, they are more towards visual and kinesthetic compared to auditory or actual visual, like actual book readers. So that brings me to a point right now. So how do people like us get to read then in such a manner that we are able to use the power of reading to improve ourselves, to elevate ourselves? Now, to answer this exact question, I would love for you to implore, why do you think you should read? And this is such an important question, because you look at the lifestyle that we've had, at least for me, growing up throughout school, we were forced to read, isn't it? Think about the subjects that we've read, okay? English literature. To this date, I don't even remember what was those every year different stories we had to read, poems we had to read. We literally had to mug up, quote unquote, and vomit in the exam. I don't remember anything other than just handful of stories. So in eight, from in my 10th, I remember we learned As You Like It by Shakespeare. 11, 12th, we learned Macbeth. I don't even remember the stories, to be honest. Completely forget about like characters. Just because Macbeth is a character, I remember that there's a character. And As You Like It, I remember there's something called as Duke Senior and Duke Frederick. That also you're able to see. Look at my expressions, how much of efforts I need to put in to remember even the names of the characters of the entire book that I read and wrote an exam on. Now, I'm not even counting the boring history lessons or geography lessons, the teachers not doing their job and all, the different subjects which we read, which to this date, I mean, someone help me understand what is the significance of logarithm and trigonometry in my day-to-day life. Please, I'm waiting for answers. Okay. Now, when you go through the entire cycle of school, for me, it was 14 years, college, another 5 years, you kind of get irritated and you are like, I've kind of had enough. I don't want to read ever again. Isn't that what happens? What's even more surprising is how many of us, after finishing our education, the mandatory education that we have to do, we even touch a book, forget about reading. So You have to understand that we've got such negative conditioning over the last couple of years growing up that books keep us away. But when I started discovering the successful people, the people who were not that brilliant in the education, in the academics, yet they were somehow able to become the most successful, the pinnacle of success in their life. Now, this concept was introduced to me by two people. One was Robin Sharma, second was Jim Quick. Robin Sharma is one of the greatest authors in the planet to this date. He's a renowned speaker and all. He's amazing. Yeah. Second is Jim Quick. Now, both these coaches, both these specialists, I got to know them through Vishen Lakhiani Mind Valley. Jim Quick is a brain and memory coach, and he, in a very, very nice method, he taught how can you read a book a week through his course. There I got to know that the smartest people in the world, they don't necessarily read academics, rather they read books which can help them become better. That's when I got introduced to the world of non-fiction. Non-fiction is when, let's just say, someone has experienced certain things in their life. And what they have done is they've written a book and condensed their entire experience and given to you in a handful of pages, which when you read, a part of that person is there deep inside of you. You get to embody them, you get to personify them, you get to have them as your counselor, you get to have them as your inner guide just because you read, which means you haven't had to go through those experiences. Just by you reading and immersing through it, their experiences gets embedded within you. Now, once that happens, there are certain things which shifts deep inside of you. Let me try and see if I can organize the thoughts and break them down in a very, very step-by-step simple manner. So when you read, you're reading the words through your senses and it gets encaptured in your mind. The mind is the software of the body. Okay. Now, it might get registered as memory also, because there are times when I've seen, I can literally quote unquote certain books. So, for example, if I say The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, uh, think as though you would have already achieved it. It's one of the quotes mentioned by Ralph Waldo Emerson in the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm able to quote unquote this because at somewhere the memory has become a permanent. Yeah, the memory has become permanent. Now, this has happened either because I have attached myself to that quote, or something in that quote registered deep inside, not my memory, but my soul, my spirit. So when you decide why you need to read, you got to understand the specific reasons that are exclusive and exclusive to you. While I was discovering all these successful people, I realized the most successful people in this world, they were not the most academically bright. They were not the biggest geniuses also. They were not the most egoistic or the most powerful. They were the most hardworking. They were readers. They were curious. They asked a lot of questions. They always ensured that they kept learning and growing. Whatever the curiosity that came inside, they went all in to learn about it by reading books, by attending courses, seminars, discovering now that we have the internet and AI. They went all in when nothing was there. The moment you read, the information gets registered in your mind. Now, as more and more information continues to grow, there's a part of you that tells you, oh, I know it all. And that's ego. That's when that happens when you do not implement what you have read. Okay. Happened with me a lot of times. That's why I'm very openly sharing it also. Even to this date, at times, I even have discussions with Yogeshwari and I'm like, can you please stop? I think I already know it. But then immediately the very next moment, wait, what's that checklist that you know that the knowledge has compounded so much that it has turned into ego? The moment you see that you're feeling irritated, you're feeling discomfort, and you feel like I know this or I've heard this already, the moment anything of this sort comes in, it's ego. So we're going to keep ego aside for a moment. The way to cut down from it is, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What is this trying to tell me? How can I break this down? How can I decipher it, reverse engineer it to create a system out of it? These are the kind of questions that I regularly ask myself whenever I feel irritated or irked or peeved or any form of frustration that creeps in. Okay. After the memory is established and the ego is put aside, you have something called as intellect. Intellect is you compounding whatever it is that you are reading and learning. Let's break this down a little more. You look at all the big spiritual texts in this globe. Okay, I'll take a couple of examples. The Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Guru Granth Sahib, the Holy Quran, the Holy Bible. Okay, and then of course you can take the Tripitakas and Upanishads and Vedas and all of those things also. Now please note that the texts are same, universal. The texts never change. And yet, why is it that a certain set of people are reading through and they are creating their own unique communities out of it? There are certain people who are getting brainwashed into getting into crimes and then justifying the same in the name of the spiritual texts. Some people are able to really explore, exceed, and reach the pinnacles of enlightenment or awareness or clarity. Some people are reading things over and over again and not really finding any solutions at all. It's because of the way we decide to read something. Again, I'll go back to the 3R concept. Until unless we read, reflect, and regularly apply, nothing is going to change. So the way that I see it is, as and when I'm reading something, how can I apply the 3R? Also, it's building onto my intellect so that when I'm facing day-to-day problems, just like I did when the internet was not there, I used certain principles of the books that I was reading at that point of time. Yogeshwari gave me the task to reread Dale Carnegie's books. Dale Carnegie has been one of the greatest revolutionaries when it comes to teaching and training public speaking and success principles in the last century. His book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, was released in the year 1936. To this day, it remains as one of the greatest books ever written in the history of mankind. Okay, that's the level. Now, she gave me the challenge, Yogeshwari, to read that particular book. While I was reading, that's when the same situation was going on. So I realized it's not just going to be my intellect that's going to work, it's going to be the action that I take based on that intellect. So I go back, reach out to the observations that I have experienced while reading the book. Think of the book as a river that is continuously flowing. You are diving in to immerse through the book. By the time you finish the book and you go out on the other side, that's when something has shifted in you. You've cleansed yourself. You have become a better version of yourself. You have certain techniques, methods, or toolbox in your artillery that you can now implement. You have certain frameworks mentioned in the books, which now you can reach out to solve more problems. I used those principles, and yesterday's live, if you observed, the last live right now, episode number 42, you will get a detailed input about how I implemented the entire book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I literally made 12 new friends, contacts, networks through one problem that I faced. Yeah. So it's not just about the intellect. It's not just about taking the action. Once you do that, your knowledge gets chiseled, beaten, implemented, acted upon, washed, nourished, and that turns into something that is so rare in this world, which is called as wisdom. Does that make sense? Even at this point of time, me recording this video, even if you go and search on YouTube or Google or any of those platforms, reviews of How to Win Friends and Influence People, you will see so many people reviewing the book, giving their thoughts on the book, sharing their inputs about the book. But the way I'm doing it is what's personalized to me based on my experience. And this is a combination of what I'm reading in the book versus plus what I'm experiencing as problems in my day-to-day life that I'm able to solve through the book. That is wisdom. That is that is real learning, some learning that lasts, that stands the test of time. This is where the experience gets kicked in. And that's the next aspect of reading. Now, once we have established the 3R concept, why we should read the book, how reading and implementing allows you to chisel out wisdom, how do you decide what books you want to read? So the simplest way that I go about it is the principles followed by all the successful people in the world. What are the problems that I'm facing in my life right now? And I will choose books related to that. And the way that I choose my books is I choose a spiritual book that can help me connect deep within myself and help me clarify these answers. Like, why am I born as Suryadeep and not as Yogeshwari or a Warren Buffett or a Bill Gates or a Swami Vivekananda? Okay. Why is it that I'm born only in India and not a Cuba or an Australia or a New Zealand? Why exclusively Kolkata? These kind of stupid questions. The spirit wants to know the answer. So I choose one book for the spirit. For me, I prefer choosing my guru's books, which is Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. I love reading his books because it's simple to understand, easy to grasp, and the read is a simple read, is what I feel. Okay, so that's something that I choose. I also love choosing simple spiritual books that teaches frameworks and makes it very simple to implement. So, for example, Secret by Rhonda Byrne, or law of attraction related books, books that talks about different concepts of spirituality, kundalini, energy, healing, these stuff. The second category of books that I choose is with respect to the actual real life problem that I'm facing, which is related to the mind. So at this point of time, I would like to increase my financial threshold, which means the amount of money that I'm earning or I'm getting at the end of each month. I would like to double it, 10x it, 20x it, 100x it. And for that, there are certain action steps that I need to take in this point of time. Let's just take an example. I am going live every single day, yet the number of views are in single digit. So I need to learn how to increase my subscriber count on YouTube or follower count on LinkedIn. I need to find out ways in which people who are watching my stuff will be convinced to join the live cohort that I'm doing every single month. I need to make sure that more and more people get to know about the live cohort so that they're interested and they are joining. You see, so that's when I will be guided towards Alex Hormozzi's books. 100 million leads will help me get the leads. 100 million offers will help me create offers. Or I get into Russell Brunson's books, Expert Secrets. How can I become an expert or portray myself as an expert? Or Traffic Secrets. How can I get different sources of traffic so that I'm able to get more interested people to learn from me? Getting the idea? So that's more of what I like to call as a skill-based book. Okay, so uh, what I've observed so far is either of the books. There are different kinds of books, different layers of books. But on a broad spectrum, either you are able to read the book or not able to read the book. Simple as that. And what I feel is you should never let go of a book. Rather, you should figure out ways in which you can make it interesting exclusively for you. Something that we will again discuss further in this live itself. So that's the second category of book that I mentioned. The third category of book that I love to read is personality related books, which means how can I adapt this particular person in my life? So let's just say if I want to know what Sachin Tendulkar, the greatest cricketer ever born on this planet, what has been his life all about? What is his life principles? What are the things that he does? How can I become a Sachin Tendulkar in my field? If I have access to his book and I read, then I get to know a little bit about him through his book. Now, mind you, this person has given more than 26 years to cricket. He must have done something right to score 35,000, close to 35,000 international runs, 100 hundreds, the world record holder in test match and one day cricket. This man must have done something right, isn't it? Just by reading the book and understanding the principles and implementing at least one or two things of what he has mentioned is going to make my life a little better. If I read a Walter Isaacson's biography, whether about Steve Jobs or Albert Einstein or Benjamin Franklin or Elon Musk, the recently released one, I can actually have pieces of the brain. I can have the brain of Elon Musk inside of me just by reading through his life. Isn't that crazy? And that's how I choose pretty much two, maximum three books to begin with. And I read them, listen to them, depending on what my mood is. Now, like I mentioned, Jim Quick has taught me this technique. How can you read one book a week? So, the very simple thing that he teaches is use a pointer. At that point of time when I'm reading right now, I prefer reading in my tablet. So I take the pointer as in my finger, and I'm just running my hands around the text. That way, I literally get to see that my reading speed doubles, triples. It's easier to read. The second method that I use is I use a concept called as photo reading. So, for example, photo reading is when I'm able to scan the entire book and get the essence of what the book is talking about. So, when I look at a Dale Carnegie's books or any of these old books, no, the old classics, Think and Grow Rich, Power of the Subconscious Mind, the biggest thing in these books are they've explained the concepts, but they've done multiple layers of explanation to prove the one concept. And that was again the old way of teaching things. Again, by the way, all due respect to all the authors and writers here, okay, I don't want to disrespect anyone here. It's just me sharing my perspective. For a naughty kid like me who prefers to play and have fun in a reading, you cannot give me explanations after explanations after explanations. I'll get bored. So what I do is I just jot down the bullet points based on my read, and I skim whatever I need and whatever I don't need, and that becomes my notes which gets accumulated either as a Google Doc. I like to keep everything digital because it's easy when I'll tell you the next set of steps. So this is the process in which I read the books. When it comes to taking notes, again, like I mentioned, it's digital notes. So as and when I'm reading, I have the tablet in front of me. Right now, my laptop is also in front of me. And based on whatever I'm reading, whenever I want to take some notes, I either copy and paste it in my note file, which later I can turn into a PDF. Or at times, I'll just copy and paste whatever stuff from the book that I feel is relevant for me. I'll make such markings as and when it's needed. So that's taken care of as well. Now, it's not just about reading the books, but to make sure that you're able to create a system out of it. So what I do is once I'm done reading a book, I take the entire book and condense it into a one single page mind map. If you're not gonna if you're not able to organize your thoughts in headings and subheadings and points, it becomes very difficult to remember the book and automatically remember. It's like I don't want to force myself to remember. Rather, I want to use it as and when problems arise in my day-to-day life. So the mind map includes, I don't necessarily use chapters and frameworks, honestly speaking. What I do is based on my learnings. So in How to Win Friends and Influence People, let's just say they talk about the first four principles only, okay? Never criticize, always appreciate, learn people's names, always carry a smile. Now, irrespective of the order in which I read it, it really doesn't matter because I'm able to practice it, I'm able to implement it right now as I'm making this video, as I'm speaking live, isn't it? So that's how I remember things, and I like to use it as and when it's necessary. It becomes very interesting also because when I'm in a Q&A session, let's just say, with a group of people, I've been invited as a speaker, people are asking me questions, I can actually quote unquote these different books that I can refer to them. And again, they can literally go and research about it or buy and read the copies and all those things. It becomes really, really fun. Once the mind map is ready, then things become interesting. So I'll take a very simple example. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've read the book. Mind map is ready. My notes are ready. I will take those files, upload to AI. Again, the notes that I've made, the stuff that I have with me, I will upload it into AI. And then I'll have a very, very interesting conversation. Listen, ChatGPT, I don't have the time and I'm feeling super bored while reading the book. Can you have a discussion with me, teaching me just the concepts of the book to such a manner where it becomes an actionable and implementable thing for me Wherever you feel that I'm not understanding or not able to process through, only then take the specific examples related to those concepts so that I can grasp it better and move forward. Do it as if you're teaching to a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. That's what I consider myself. Okay. If I give this prompt, what do you think is going to happen? AI will understand the context. It will take your notes and then will talk to you as the book. Isn't it crazy? If I give prompts like, talk to me as if you are the author, in this case, Dale Carnegie, as if you are the author and you're teaching me this entire seminar, however, teach it to a 4-year-old and make it interesting and fun for me to enjoy this conversation with you. So now what am I doing? I'm literally talking to Dale Carnegie and Dale Carnegie is teaching it to me just because of the power of the right prompts. Are you able to see how I've turned a visual aid, texts, words into a power-packed conversation? That's kinesthetics. And it's not just that. Now that I've uploaded all these details, I can turn on the voice recorder and I can literally interact with Dale Carnegie. So per se, because of so much of data that I have already fed in to AI. Now, this is where it does not get interesting. This is just the level 1. Okay. Once the entire interaction is done and I've enjoyed the interaction, let's just say I've finished the entire book. I will drop this one very interesting prompt. Based on every single thing that we have discussed so far, I want you to give me a 5,000 to 7,500 word custom GPT prompt, which I can copy and paste in any AI tool in this world, which will adapt itself to this, to personify the book and engage in a conversation with me to teach the book as a kinesthetic conversation. Let's go. The entire discussion happened. I learned the book while interacting with AI. Now I have a 5,000 to 7,500 word prompt, which I can upload to ChatGPT, to Perplexity, to any AI tool. And this AI tool will be talking to me exactly as that book. Now, obviously, I have created quite a lot of these things, but I've kept it personal to me because I just want to give this to people who are genuinely interested. So in case if you need, you can just drop the comments as in the book that you're reading, and we'll see if we can get into a conversation and then take this further from there. Of course, as a part of our community, I do give access to all of these my personally created private GPTs. I use ChatGPT itself, and all our students are able to use all of these things. So that's definitely there. Now, overall, if you see, it's not just the aspect of reading that is fun to me anymore. Okay, because it's boring. And because it's boring, a naughty kid like me is coming up with different gamified version where I'm able to interact with a book in so many different layers while keeping the essence strong. What is the essence in this case? Learning the concepts and techniques mentioned in the book, understanding the examples, ensuring that I'm able to use the concepts in my day-to-day problems as and when I have it, able to share that information with the world, the techniques and methods that I have learned, organize it as and when I'm facing any challenges, like in a Q&A, live Q&A, or anyone needs any help, they will reach out to me. Suryadeep, what book should I read? This is the problem that I'm going through. I become a resource person in this world. Are you able to understand the power? My mentor, Tony Robbins, he says he's read over 700 books in his life. There's this Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has read more than 14,000 books in his life. Dr. John D. Martini, 37,000 books in his life. They are born in an era, they were born in an era where the only thing that they had was to read. Libraries were prominent. There were no other sources of learning, so people had to walk from one place to another to rent out books or rent out DVDs in the form of seminars. In today's world, education or knowledge is endless. Literally at the click of a button, you will get the entire summary of any book in this world ever, exactly the way that you want. And that is where things become far too overwhelming, isn't it? We are overwhelmed with knowledge. We are going through a tsunami of knowledge and a desert of wisdom, as in deserted wisdom. We are hungry and thirsty for actual wisdom. The intention of this live was to make you realize what's possible. Once you realize that, you will soon begin to understand that it's far easier than ever before to read books. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne was the last big book that I have purchased. Ever since, either I have been gifted books or I have been blessed with books. I have the Kindle version of it, the PDF version of it, the different versions of different books. And as and when I read them, if I enjoy the read, I definitely purchase it later. But that's how easy it has become right now to experience knowledge. I'm not even going to go to the vocabulary, the thought process, the storytelling skills, and all those additional skills that gets developed as and when you read more. The best part, what I personally feel, is when I look at someone's videos like Tony Robbins, I can literally get into a Tony Robbins mode and come on, you got to be able to do all those things. I can model and mimic the people I see. But when I read something, I'm not able to hear them speak to me. It's only through the words that they're communicating through me. However, it's an interaction that's happening. Whether I'm going to write a book ever in my life, I'm not so sure. I tried doing that for the last couple of years, but what follows before and after the book, like all the marketing and press release and all those things, somewhere I feel that I should write a book only at a time when the world really needs it, because we already have an overload of information. When I write a book, it should be probably a, a great international bestseller to such an extent that it's going to stand the test of time. However, now we have the complete freedom, the step-by-step path to organize our thoughts and also do to immerse in it through books. Now, before I let you go for this live, there are two very interesting concepts which again Jim Quick taught. The first is readers are leaders are readers. Warren Buffett read 2 books a week. Barack Obama used to read 1 book a week consistently. Bill Gates to this date keeps reading. You look at all the biggest superstars on this planet, they keep reading. And it's not just that they keep reading, they keep innovating, they keep coming up with stuff. I haven't met a person yet who is who's a good reader and I did not enjoy talking to them. It's only the latter. There are so many people I've met, pretty successful people. I don't read books anymore. They are successful, but success is stagnating over there. What we discussed so far in this live, that brings me to the last point actually. The 3R concept, why we should read, what goes on inside when we read, how to take reading and turn it into discussion, which I'm doing with you right now over a live, and then with AI. And then how do I create a system which I can use as a resource to help more and more people, including starting with myself, actually, where I don't have to remember anything ever, ever. It's always embedded deep inside of me with the power of whatever it is that we have discussed so far in this life. If you've ever read a book, I would love to know in the comments what's the greatest book that you've ever read. And I would also love to know how we can interact to see how that specific book I can also read, immerse, learn, reflect, regularly apply, uh, take notes, create a custom GPT, interact with it, have fun with it. Again, all of this happens when you are a 4-year-old and you are naughty. If you enjoyed this, do hit that like button, subscribe, follow. Do share your thoughts below. All the notes and all those details are all given below. You'll find every single thing that you need in my profile. And this is something I'm so proud that I'm able to do it with all my heart and soul. The last episode I remember I did, Yogeshwari told me that she's so proud of me because of the way I structured and I shared it. I'm not sure what is going to be her reaction in this video, this live. However, one thing for sure I know, every single piece of live that I'm doing every single day, daily live with Surya, at some point of time, it is going to blow up. Blow up because people in the world of AI, where everything is AI, okay? Content is AI, people, faceless videos, AI version, AI clones, AI voice, AI sales, AI marketing. In the world of AI, I'm also talking about AI. But this is me showing up every single day, no matter what. The whole world can tune in 8:30 a.m. live, join me in the Zoom room, interact with me. And a book, if you and I have read a common book, I think we can talk about it for endless hours. And we can just know that that's our common ground. Yeah. With that, this is Dr. Srideep. I will see you in the third live for today in another few minutes. Probably take some rest and then go live. But definitely, I'm finishing this episode. A crazy, crazy thing coming up in the next episode. Stay tuned.